with things going on in my life, I think going forward, and then this has always been true, but people have to adapt, man. You gotta adapt or be left behind. I think that we're going to experience constant changes. So people who are stuck in routines or think like their life is going to stay the same, are in for a rude awakening. Whether it's the quality of life going down, the standard of life going down, having to work harder for less comforts. And we won't see it dramatically. Like it's not gonna be like, okay, tomorrow we have a collapse. I don't think we're gonna have a collapse. I think we might have a collapse if we go to like a civil war. I'm not sure if we'll have a collapse if we go to a World War III, which we're lining up for currently, because our leaders of our country are idiots and they love war. They love sending poor people's kids to war, like me. But they don't send their own kids. You know, back in the old days, kings used to fight. Generals used to fight. George Washington led his army in battle. They had some skin in the game. The people now, they don't have any skin in the game. It's like a video game to these people. It's like me playing Civilization Revolution. Just sending army to, you know, go mess with somebody because I'm bored. Because I need something to do. Because I need a problem. I need to cause a problem so I can solve it. That's what these politicians do nowadays. If we had no problems, we wouldn't need a government. We wouldn't need leaders to try to solve problems. And it makes me wonder if they create half of the problems out here. Which they do. Like, when I'm talking about adapting, for instance, for the last 10 years, especially since my kids have been born, I've been battling with this, trying to hold like a day shift when it comes to my jobs, working during the day shift, because it's better to work during the days when you have kids. And it's been like a constant struggle, even to the point where I went to a different department. I forgot what it was called, but I gave up all my seniority and went to the bottom of the list so I could be in that day shift a few years ago, maybe like 10 years ago now. But I've sacrificed and probably took less pay to have a day job. And now my kids are adults. I've had this notion where you always need a parent at the house. So I don't do nothing. I go to work and I come home. The kids need that stability. Well, when you're the only person in the household that's a parent, you gotta sacrifice a lot. And I think that me sacrificing and being at home every night or all the time, along with video games too. It occupies their time. It kept them out of trouble. Kept them out of trouble. And it has. And I've been completely miserable. I'm gonna be honest. I've sacrificed a lot. I lived in a one-bedroom apartment with my 2 teenage kids in Washington State just to be able to survive. Then I moved out to Missouri. I got a 2-bedroom place. And I slept on the couch for a year and a half while they both had their own rooms. Because I thought their relationship was hindered when we lived in Washington State. They were around each other all the time. They would fight all the time. They pretty much disliked each other big time. Well, their relationship got better because they had more space. I think teenagers need space. That's what I think, especially nowadays. So I think that I've been a lot of my misery and feeling like I've had no freedom is because of that. Well, now I decided to go to night shift willingly, and I just gave myself a $2 raise an hour. So now I make $23.60, which is pretty good for my area. Just to go to nights. And I get off at 2. So I don't have to at my work. It was a new building when I started. And now they have plans to put welders in there. So they added welders a few months ago, and they work during the days. Now it's more cluttered in there. There's more people. It stinks. I don't know if that stuff's good for me to breathe in because it gets all smoky without welding. Now I don't have to deal with that. Management don't really come over there at night. I ain't got to deal with them either. Less people, less stress. And, it's like, I don't have a wife. I'm never going to get married. So, and my kids are grown now. So being night shift is probably a good thing for me. And then you can talk about circadian rhythm, whatever. When I was younger, I always liked being a night person. Going to sleep really late, waking up late. And I had to change all that when I became a parent. I had to adapt. I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're a youngster, a night shift might be better for you. I know your social life will probably be hindered by it, but they pay more. Most places pay more for people to work nights. I can't believe I got a $2 raise to work nights. They pay $2 extra an hour to work nights, and that net. That's a gross of $80 an extra week. That's a lot of money, dude. I thought about putting up editing video game clips in here on my videos while I talk over it. Something different. And especially me driving to work in the mornings, is that's when I like to talk the most. I have the most energy. I have the most creativity. I have the most to say. But I'll still make, I think I'm gonna still make car ride videos when I go to work. Or so maybe it's gonna be something different, because I'll actually have some sunlight. I've seen people in the comments complain about me not having any light on me, because I kind of view this as like kind of like a podcast type of deal, a lone wolf podcast. Well, I just say what I think. But yeah, you have to adapt. You gotta adapt going forward, man. You can't just sit there and think that your life is gonna completely stay the same. Because things are gonna change, and I think that during certain times they might change more rapid than other times. Like we went through 2020 with the lockdowns and all that. We went through 2021 with mandatory vaccinations and people being threatened to be fired if they didn't get vaccinated. 2022 was hyperinflation, pretty much hyperinflation. And this year is going to be weird. You know, I'm wondering if we're going to continue this inflation, and then I think we're going to be in stagflation, because I think there's going to be, you know, when I go to the store, I see some prices that stay the same, and I see other prices that like double, sometimes triple. So I think that's just like whatever sector, and I think that there's going to be a lot of layoffs. So we're going to have inflation in certain parts of the economy, and some things might stay the same. Same what goes with jobs. I personally think that dirty jobs or blue collar jobs are pretty much safe, because nobody wants to work. The next generation don't want to work. Not all blue collar jobs, but we still have a worker shortage, and then we have a bunch of people being laid off. Well, I think mid-management people, there's a lot of people who are pencil pushers that probably don't do much for the company, and they get paid a lot. And a lot of these people are getting laid off, especially with AI. Like if you're an office worker, you should be scared. Like you really should be. And the best thing for you to do as an office worker is to humble yourself, because a lot of these office workers, they think that their shit don't stink. And get your hands dirty, because if you want to work, like, could you imagine going from $100,000 a year working at like one of these tech companies to maybe like 35 or 40, maybe even $50,000 a year manual labor? I think that the worker going forward needs to be smart when it comes to technology and understanding technology, but also be able to get their hands dirty as well. Not just sit behind a desk all day and tell people what to do and don't do shit. They need to get their hands dirty. That's where we are going forward. If you want to maximize your job security. You need to be smart when it comes to computers and technology, but you have to be humble enough to get your hands dirty and not think that jobs are you're above jobs, because you're not gonna have workers. You know you're gonna have to do it yourself. So there's gonna be a lot of companies that a lot of these people who are used to these comfy jobs behind a desk all day, that have to come out on the floor and actually work with the people. Well, not only do you have to be humble in that aspect, well, when it comes to getting your hands dirty, well, you're gonna have to be humble when it comes to the people you work with. Yeah, like you know, these people have to get rid of their what is that? Their ego. Like I said yesterday, people are gonna need to have to learn to control their egos going forward because of this type of situation. People are gonna have to be like a Swiss Army knife. You don't want to just like specialize. And yeah, you can get paid more if you specialize in one area. But what happens if that job gets replaced by someone overseas, or a computer or a robot, and then now you don't know anything else? So learning a lot of different jobs, learning a lot of different skills. There's so many skills that you have to be able to be able to understand computers, get your hands dirty, deal with the average worker, and know how to communicate with these people. And man, I'm telling you, it's going to get even harder communicating with people because the next generation coming up, they're really soft. So if you're working hard work, manual labor, usually when you work with people, like, we just kind of rip on each other, and it makes the day go by. Well, a lot of these people, these kids that are coming up, they're really, really sensitive, and they can't handle that. So you're gonna have to know how to deal with those people too. You're gonna have to know how to deal with like the old school boomer worker who isn't sensitive, and you're gonna have to deal with the new school worker who is ultra sensitive. So it's like there's a lot of adaptation. Like I said, you're gonna have to adapt or be left behind.